everyone, sorry I haven't made a video in a long time, but you know, this heat is really draining my inspiration and it's so hard to make a video because you know my camera, the phone overheats very quickly and it's just really hot. So if you're here because of the title, my name is Joanne and I make videos sometimes. You can check those out if you want to. I don't make videos like this very often, but we're here to talk about Timeless. So here we go. Timeless and Season 3. Or actually Timeless and a series finale movie, because apparently a Season 3 is not good enough. But you know, I think the show was just asking for it. Not the show, but you know, the network. Because they gave it a 10 p.m. time slot, and then they act surprised. They're like, oh, you know, oh, how could this happen, you know? Oh wow, I wonder why. 10 p.m. time slot? People have school, you know, and work, and you know, all the other stuff they have to do. You know, it's no wonder people couldn't tune in at 10 o'clock at night, you know, like, it's not like they're going to sleep or anything. And that's really stupid. I don't know why shows do this, like, why they act so surprised when the show is, like, removed. They're like, how could this have happened? You know, like, well, you know what you were doing, giving it that bad time slot. I think a better time slot would have been 8 p.m. on Sunday or Monday, because that's a reasonable time slot, and kids, they can stay up a little later at 8 o'clock. You know, like once upon a time on ABC, they had a show for 6 years, Sunday, 8 p.m. And this year would have been the perfect time to do it because they moved it to 8 p.m. on Friday. But, you know, I can go into a whole other rant about Season 7, about Once Upon a Time, but I'm not going to do that today. But the point is, you know, the show was super strong for 6 seasons at 8 p.m. on Sunday. Now, I don't know why shows do this. It drives me crazy, because it's like you're killing it, basically. Like, even not just NBC, other networks do this too. A very long time ago, I had this show on Nickelodeon that I liked. It wasn't like a typical laugh track show like they do now. It was like, you laughed on your own. It had a nice camera and everything. And they barely promoted it. And then, in the second season, it was like a pity season, they didn't even promote it. And when new episodes were airing, they would push it back, to make way for 2 popular shows, even though those shows aired like 50 times a day already, which makes no sense, it's stupid. And then, I think what they did was they aired the new episodes like at Nicktoons, and then they showed all of them on there, even though not everybody has that channel, but you know, that's very considerate of them, right? And it drives me crazy when networks do this. Like, I remember when I was like very young, the schedule for Nickelodeon was like, not in order, of course, but you know, you had Hey Arnold, Rocket Power, Rugrats, Doug, Cat Dog, All That, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh. You know, just like a whole variety of shows that kids could watch instead of like 2 popular shows a day. I don't know if Nickelodeon still does that, but you know, I haven't watched it like in years. Like, I have no problem with watching kids shows, but you know, for the most part, I only watch a kids show if I can relate to it, or if I think it's actually funny, because I don't really like stupid humor that much. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, but NBC is kind of doing the same thing here, you know? Like, they're acting like, oh, you know, it's such a surprise that, you know, it's not a surprise. You gave it a bad time slot. People have stuff to do the next day. Like, of course DVR is a thing, but, you know, they're doing the same thing to Timeless. They're not promoting it very well. They're acting like it doesn't exist. I mean, they do act like it exists, unlike the show on Nickelodeon that I watched. But, you know, I think they should adjust viewership based on the show. Like, a drama can have 7 million or more, comedy 5 million or more, and like fantasy sci-fi can have like 2 million or more, just to keep them afloat, because different shows appeal to different people. And it's not like NBC is not like a stranger to sci-fi. You know, they had, back in the day they had Heroes, which I saw like way after it ended, but I know they had it like 12 years ago. So long ago. Oh my god, it was 12 years ago, I can't believe that. But anyway, they had Heroes, which had a sci-fi time travel thing to it, but it wasn't like the whole part of the show. That was like a small part. But I liked that show because I liked it, not because it was popular. Like, the popularity was lucky. If I like a show, I like a show, I'm gonna watch it. Basically what I'm trying to say. But you know, another thing that really put the show in a coma was putting it on NBC in the first place. Like, why would you do that? Like, why NBC? Why not some network like TNT or History or CW or any network that has like a low viewership expectation, you know, and it's going to put it on a good time slot? I've always thought that putting it on NBC was a bad idea. And, you know, I think it's sad because, you know, we could use an American time travel show. In England, they have Doctor Who, which is not even like a time travel show. It's like a time-space show, because how often does the Doctor time travel in the Earth? Like, hardly ever. He usually goes in the future. He rarely meets influential people of history, which is what I like about Timeless. People have a tendency to overinflate people that they like a lot. Like, they make them a lot bigger than they really are, but they're just human, like you and me. They have their own insecurities, fears, doubts. Like, there's this really great quote. There's this really great quote in the first season where Rufus, the main character, is scared, and like the other main character, Wyatt, he's like, I wouldn't go into battle with you if you weren't, and it's like really great. And, you know, in season 2, something similar happens. Like, Rufus meets like a really influential historical figure, and, you know, he says, you're not scared, and the person's like, you're a fool if you're not scared. And then also, like, halfway through the season, they meet another character who is going to become one of the future world leaders. They meet him when he's young, like, you'll see if you watch it, but they meet him when he's young, and like, he finds out like about his future, which is like not a very good future, like when you realize who he is, and he starts to get like really down and like sad, and he's like, I can't do this anymore, like, I'm not cut out for this. And it's like so nice to see like someone who you know is going to become like this confident ruler like have doubts about themselves, because honestly no one knows what they're doing. Like, not even just like in like the context of like the show and historical figures, but like I don't think anybody knows what they're doing, honestly. And that's what's so great about people opening up about their insecurities and fears, because it makes you feel like you're not alone. You know, because, like I said, people have a tendency to build people up more than they are. Like these superhero kind of characters, even though they are just human. And, you know, I understand that because, you know, it's nice to have someone to look up to, but this is a topic for another video. Anyway, that's why I like Timeless, because it helps you to see historical figures in that way. The show has a lot of potential. Like, I think they just need to get rid of Rittenhouse, and then after that, they can do other stuff and meet other people, and it's going to be fine. But it's only possible if we work together to get another 3rd season, and I can't believe we have to do this again. It's so annoying. All these popular shows are getting renewed left and right. The fans don't even have to work hard, and like, you have Timeless fans, they have to work really hard just to get another season. Like, just once, I just wish like the fans had like a break. Like, I just want like, the show got renewed and we didn't even have to try. Like, yay! But no, that never happens, and it's really annoying. Because we had like 250,000 tweets on the season 2 finale, and which is really incredible, because I don't think another NBC show has done that before recently. And then, you know, of course, I could go on and on about this, but there's some shows that just need to die. Like, I swear, like, you have some shows that have like 50 seasons, and I'm just like, why does this have 50 seasons? Like, there should be a cutoff date, like at 10 seasons for some shows, like, but that's a whole nother discussion. So yeah, I think maybe there's some petitions or something, I don't know. You can watch the show if you want, if I made you curious. I don't know where you can watch it. The season 2, I'm sure it's playing somewhere. The season 2 DVD is not coming out until like September, so you have to wait a while for that. I think you can watch it on the NBC website, I'm not really sure. You're gonna have to look. But, you know, if you enjoy the show, that's nice. You can tweet the NBC official Twitter and NBC Timeless Twitter, like, we want a 3rd season, please. You know, I mean, because that worked. Apparently that worked last time, so maybe it'll work again. Because this show brings a lot of discussion, inspiration to me, I think. Because, you know, they are talking about real people. I mean, they're fictionalized, of course, but they try to make them as real as possible, which is really great. We need Timeless Season 3. So thank you guys for watching. I just didn't feel like putting makeup on today. Like, why should I have to put it on? Because, you know, I like to think that people are watching my videos because they like to hear me talk about stuff. But, you know, that's just Only a dream, you know, but maybe one day. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, whenever that is, hopefully this year, bye.